We're back.
That flew by, been forever.
I know. Long time no see, everyone. So for those who don't know, we just did literally an hour ago our big deep dive spoiler discussion of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So if you haven't watched that, you didn't watch that live, you're watching this on the replay, make sure you go check that out. We really appreciate it. Give it a like, comment, all that fun stuff. But for this video, we will be breaking down Star Wars Celebration from what has happened the last couple of days. There's been some big panels, some little panels. The Star Wars Celebration stage I want to get to eventually because they've literally interviewed everybody. Like every big Star Wars actor, person of, producers, editors, Doug Chang, like everyone has been on that stage. So I want to talk about that a little bit later if we have time. We do have a guest coming very soon. So he should be here, within the next 10, 15 minutes or so. So we'll bring him in whenever he's ready. But because I'm in charge, I was going to let him choose what we were going to talk about first, but he's running a little bit late. So because I'm in charge, we will be, of course, talking about Jedi Survivor.
Bro, let's save that for last. That's the big. That's the two biggest ones you gotta save for last. Toby, Tobias.
We only have so much time, and I want to talk about all the nitty gritty. Okay, fine. We will wait on Jedi Survivor. If it was up to me, this entire video would be Jedi Survivor, but that's fine. So we'll start small. We'll start small and work our way up.
We'll start small, and it's still something you're excited about because it's something you've been calling for the last year.
Okay.
We're getting at the parks.
Okay, all right. This is a small enough thing we can start with. So we've talked ad nauseum about how Galaxy's Edge, as much as we all enjoy it, me and Colin have been. Matt will be going very soon, but they seem to have. Right. Yeah, very, very soon. So
I'm not counting or anything.
Right. Galaxy's Edge seem to have backed themselves into a corner with setting up Batuu and Black Spire Outpost in a specific point in the Star Wars timeline, that being in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So all of the events of, the Smuggler's Run ride and Rise of the Resistance and Rey running around and Kylo Ren running around, that's all canon, right? And the point is that visitors of Galaxy's Edge are putting themselves in the story. And I think that's fine. I think that's cool concept. However, it can't be like that forever. Kids and adults alike are going to want to interact with Luke Skywalker, the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Han Solo, right? But it didn't make sense in the beginning to insert them because, again, this is at a certain point in the timeline, and they didn't want to break the emergence of Galaxy's Edge and Batuu, right? But seems like this happened way sooner. I figured that would happen eventually, right? But it seems like they've learned their lesson. They listened to the fans, and Boba Fett and Fennec Shand will be featured guests at Galaxy's Edge within the next couple of weeks. And supposedly the Mandalorian is coming.
Oh, no. They showed up today.
Oh, they were there today?
They started at Disneyland. So for the time being, Disneyland is the only one doing this because Florida, for some reason, still isn't doing like the character walk-arounds and meetups completely. Mm-hmm. So there's actually video of them making their debut today.
Well, that's cool. So yeah, sooner than I really thought. I thought it was announced at the panel that it would be like in a couple of weeks, but
Toby's
anyway,
like,
they're there now.
I gotta go pack a bag for California
right. So that's really fun. But supposedly they said in the panel that Boba Fett and Fennec Shand will, in their storylines in canon, make their way to Batuu somehow, but they're not going to interact with Kylo Ren and the Stormtroopers and the story going on at Galaxy's Edge, right? So it's a little confusing, but I think this is a step in the right direction to the point where we can just forget about the canon and the timeline of it all and allow all of the legacy characters to show up at some point. Matt, would you agree with that?
I mean, I was the one out of all of us who was like steadfast against it, so I'm fine with it.
I mean, you get what I'm saying, though, right? Yeah, kids are going to want to interact with Darth Vader. Kids are going to want to interact with Mandalorian and Grogu. Like that is the poster child of Star Wars right now, is Mandalorian and Grogu together. And you can't have, the biggest money maker at Lucasfilm right now, believe it or not, is the parks, right? So you can't exclude them from that. You got to include them eventually, whether it fits into your timeline or not. So I'm glad they're going in this direction. I'm glad it was finally confirmed in that today Boba Fett and Fennec made their debut at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. That's pretty exciting to me.
No, I'm here for it. I know if I was taking my godson or something, he would love to meet Boba Fett or Fennec. So I can't really be too upset. Oh my god, what's going on with my headphones? Excuse me for a sec. But yeah, better? I am a little bit.
Okay, you say you sound fine.
Oh, it's just my headphones. I'm getting like some sort of feedback in this bitch.
Oh. Okay.
Not completely. We're good. We're good.
We're all fine now. Here.
How are you?
So moving on to again smaller stuff. Do you want to talk about toys?
Bro, let's just keep it with the parks. We got this entire parks lineup.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Transitioning into more park stuff. Bunch of changes in terms of different merchandising and some changes to Savvy's workshop. So really lightsabers. Let's talk about lightsabers for a little bit. Who doesn't love lightsabers? I mean, me and Matt do if you watch this program.
Yeah.
So Ben Solo's lightsaber will be retiring. That doesn't really surprise me. I mean, we saw only a little bit of it in The Last Jedi. I hope we see more of it in canon. But it's getting retired, and to make room for some new lightsabers. And I don't know if we have there you go. So we got Obi-Wan from the Obi-Wan show. I love the darker tint to this one compared to the ones from the past. I'll probably still select the that Black Series one because I just think it's a better design in terms of the way the blade goes into the hilt. And I think the electronics on it are going to be a little bit better too. But it's still very cool that you can get that at the parks relatively soon. And then you got Darth Sidious. I mean, who doesn't love his? The gold.
Reportedly was at Disneyland today. Not Disney World, but it was at Disneyland.
There you go. So there's that new one. I mean, we've been waiting on that one for a while, so that's good to see.
My biggest issue, and you can actually see it in the design here, is the activation switch is that little like circle on the back of. So like, you actually have to like you know how most of the other ones you're able to hide you activating it because it looks like it would in movies. This one it's like, nah, you got to actually flip that with like maybe your pinky or index or your ring finger. I mean, if you're lucky, while holding it. Like it's a weird design. It's not.
Yeah, I'd have to see it like in a video or in person. But that is interesting, and it's a chonky boy too.
That's a chonk boy. This next one is.
There we go. Plo Koon. Man, that got a big pop when this was unveiled at Celebration. People lost it. Like they've been clamoring for a Plo Koon saber. Apparently, I mean it's cool to me, but it's not one I've been begging for. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I will say this. Who didn't see this coming? Especially when we got the Luminara saber on May the 4th. They're the exact same saber, except there's a little bit of color difference on the hilt. And the blade colors are different, so
no, that's cool. Just more selections for people. Yeah. They don't got to decide between 4 or 5 now. Like they got options.
And these look different. That's the key. It's different designs rather than just the same ones we've had. Now this next one is the one that both Toby and I popped for.
Oh, Qui-Gon. One of the more simpler designs in terms of lightsabers, but it's a classic. I remember having this one as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a hand-me-down from my older brother. But I remember having this. I remember holding it. I remember, it was the ones that you flicked it, but it also lit up. So yeah, very cool, classic. Hopefully we see that in maybe something else. Wink, wink. We will get to.
Toby. Here's the thing about this one and the previous one. They were both a part of that fan vote last year that you and I were not happy with the results of necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that fan vote.
But speaking of fan votes, I don't know if you have the.
Oh yeah, I do.
the picture. Hey, would you look at that?
We've been given a chance at redemption.
So, I want Kanan's lightsaber really bad, and we missed out in the last fan vote, and they've been making all of the other ones that were included in that fan vote except Kanan for some reason, but now they're including Kanan in the second fan vote, and I will be appalled if Kanan does not win this, because I mean, if you look at the selection, I mean, there's some cool stuff.
There's only 6 this time, also compared to like 10.
Right. So like Quinlan Voss I love Quinlan Voss as a character. I hope we see more of him in stories, you know, in the future. But Depa Billaba, okay. Kanan's, you know, master. That's cool. Jocasta Nu, that old bitch. I don't need yours. I didn't even know you had one. Actually, no. I read the comic. She has one, and she's actually really cool in the Darth Vader comic. But in Attack of the Clones, you're just an arrogant old hag. Like I'm cool. Right?
You don't need a librarian's lightsaber?
No, I'm good on that. Sifo Dyas, okay. We saw a glimpse of it in Clone Wars, and he didn't even use it. It was just kind of laying there next to his corpse. Very morbid, I know, but it's interesting that would be included in something that they would make at a Disney park. You know, like if Sifo Dyas wins, they have to make his lightsaber, and I find that kind of funny. And then Barriss Offee, yeah, it's fine. I like the design. She's a cool character. We still don't know her fate.
Also, a saber used. And see, that's the thing. They also make it clear to say Padawan Barriss Offee.
Right.
Ooh, what does that mean? But what I was gonna say is, this is also one of the sabers that Obi-Wan uses in Episode 2. It's one of those shared designs. Those weird. It's got multiple uses
right.
in the franchise.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, because Obi-Wan's lightsaber history is kind of funny.
Yes,
because he loses his in Phantom Menace, and then he gets it back in Attack
No, he rebuilds it. He rebuilds it. There's a slight difference to the build for Attack of the Clones.
Okay, but then he loses that one, and then he
changes to the classic
to the classic one, and there's been minor alterations to those in different, different projects and stuff. But anyway, Kanan will win. If he doesn't, I'm gonna pitch a fit. But they're gonna make his eventually.
Toby will riot.
Yes. I'm still trying to get Cal's. Like Cal is on my list. I keep checking like Mercari and eBay, and they're all a little bit more expensive.
He's about to give in and send me money while I'm there next month.
Speaking of Cal, no, we gotta wait. I'll wait till later.
Well, no, we still got one more Parks thing we gotta.
Okay, one more Parks thing. So new scrap metal coming to Galaxy's Edge and Savvy's Workshop. I have done Savvy's Workshop, and it was an amazing experience. I still have my saber. It's literally like right next to me. So for those who don't know, it's basically you walk in and they give this big speech about the importance of lightsabers and kyber crystals and the Jedi, and you get to put your own lightsaber together with different pieces. And they've had the same array of pieces since Galaxy's Edge opened, right? Shout out to Partis. How you doing, buddy? But they've got new pieces now. So they've changed it up. So different options for when you go to Savvy's Workshop to put together your saber. I remember I put together the I think it was the defense and something, because there's different like tiers of Sith and Jedi, right? The Jedi one has like a classic, metal hilt with like black accents, maybe a little bit of gold, very like Age of the Republic design. And then another Jedi one is one that's very much more like put together from pieces that you found in the wild, right? Like different bones and sort of things like that. And then the Sith one, they're a lot more. Right. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but the Sith one has. Okay, Cameron. Hey, buddy.
He wasn't happy when he saw it was retiring soon.
Did you not hear what I said at the beginning? He might be pissed at me because I said like, I'm good. I don't need that one. But anyway, long story short, new pieces for Savvy's. I'm sure Matt will be experiencing that. Or Jen will.
No,
right?
Jen is not either.
Oh, it's your brother.
My brother is, yeah.
Right. Okay. Right.
He's now has his fingers crossed that these new pieces are available in 25 or 26 days, because it's 26 days when we're at Hollywood Studios.
Right. Okay. Our Our guest has arrived.
Yes. I love being able to have this man on the channel because Pat is someone I can just spend some time with and geek out on. We've gotten to know each other and gotten close very well over the last few months, and I had to have him on, especially to talk Star Wars, because we were on the same wavelength for a lot of the stuff that's happened the last few days. So, ladies and gentlemen, Pat Bulfamante.
Oh,
Hi.
hey everybody!
Hi, Pat. I'm
Hey.
Toby. We've never met. How are
Hey,
you?
Toby? I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm tired. We've been basically doing a show for almost 3 hours with a little bit of a break. So
It's a 1 hour break. We had a 1 hour break.
yeah, and it wasn't much of a break for me because I've been working around the house all weekend. But anyway, I digress. Pat, I was gonna originally open the show with you choosing what we were gonna talk about first, because there's so many things, right, from the last couple of days. We've already talked about some Galaxy's Edge stuff, how Boba Fett and Finnick are gonna be part guests walking around now for meet and greets. Talk about some lightsabers. Any of that interests you, or do you want to get into
Well,
like?
I just want to touch on one thing, because before I popped in, I did see that you guys were talking about the sabers, and I have been looking for a replica Kanan Jarrus saber since Star Wars
Speaking my
Rebels came out.
Yes.
So
Toby's
the
like,
fact
I like you
that
already.
that's potentially going to be available for my consumer pleasure has me very excited.
Hey, Nikki will be happy because it gives you an excuse to go to Florida.
Yes, 100%. We have to book a trip to Galaxy's Edge. I need to buy that one lightsaber. So
yeah, we gotta wait for that fan vote to end, because, like I said before, I would be appalled
We got
if
12
it doesn't
days.
win.
12 days.
Like, they should be making it now. Like, why are they even doing a vote? Right? Like, they should know better.
Like, Kanan Jarrus is probably one of, like, if I really think about it, he's probably one of my top 3 favorite Jedi.
No, I agree.
Top 3, top 5 for me.
Yeah,
it's right around there. Like, hard to be like, is there someone better than? No, just that was. I think part of the reason I love Kanan so much is like he's the reluctant Jedi. He's like, yeah, it's our ways, but I don't need to follow him all the time. But this kid has got something special, and he's bringing out that side of me. Just you gotta love it.
The Cowboy Jedi. That was as soon as they described him as that, I was like, sold.
Right. But now that you're here, we can, like I said, we can talk about so many different things, right? Mando Plus was today. Tales of the Jedi was today. I mean, so much has happened at Celebration in general. I really want to talk about Jedi Survivor, but Matt wouldn't let me until we got a little bit towards the end, because it was one of the bigger surprises from yesterday.
I wanted Pat to have a chance.
No, you didn't want me to win. That's what it is. I wanted to talk about it first, and you wouldn't let me. It's fine. It's fine. Pat, since you are our guest, please, you may choose. Where are we going next?
I want to appease both of you. Let's talk Jedi.
Yes.
Let's talk the video game stuff now, boys.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. So what a surprise this was, because there was no video game panel for this year's Celebration. So we were all wondering, when are we going to see more of, the sequel to Fallen Order? And I know the title kind of got leaked a few weeks ago, but it was never confirmed. But I remember I was at work, and I mean, I'd been locked on my phone all day just with Celebration content, and I actually took a break. Like, I put my phone down. I was trying to get some work done, right? I actually picked up at work, so I was busy. I was actually focusing on more important things in my life and in my job. And then, of course, Matt's like, trailer Jedi.
No, that was Colin. That was Colin.
It was Colin. No, yeah, shout out to Colin. He jumped in the group chat, and so, like, I'm pretty sure I was with a customer when I got the text, so I was just like rushing him out the door, like, please leave, please get out of my store. This is very important. So I sat down and I watched it, and I mean, Pat, you don't know this because we just met, but I talk about Cal in this game every show. It's like, it is. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite thing since Disney bought Lucasfilm, but it's probably in my top 4, top 5 out of everything we've gotten thus far. Like, I adore the video game, and I adore
the books.
Cal and BD1. Like, that's my homie. Like,
which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Toby, because you weren't watching the live stream. They had BD1 intro the trailer.
Did they really?
Yes.
That's even better. And they actually announced the Lego too. The BD1 Lego. So I will be
him and Anthony introducing the trailer, and then Anthony got really weird talking about cuddling up with BD1, and that was just
But Pat, how did you feel about this reveal in this trailer?
I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? It was an eventuality. It was not if, but when. Like, when is this coming? When are they going to tell us about it? When are we going to know more? Jedi Fallen Order was such a home run in a lot of ways for, I think, Star Wars. I think it was the big video game hit that they've been really looking for, and I think it was the Star Wars game that a lot of people were looking for, to kind of like play as a Jedi and have sort of a customization aspect to lightsabers. And the character of Cal Kestis is such a likable character, and I think such a likable protagonist. So I'm hearing the announcement had me really excited. I was super excited. I'm really interested to see where the story, because here's the thing, we know the story, we kind of know the story can only go certain amount of ways, right? At this point, like at this point for the Jedi, at this point for everything. So I'm really curious to see the story, because that's what I loved most about the first game. I love the cinematics, I love the story, I love the writing, I love the characters. Yes.
Toby's been screaming to the hills for this for the last month and a half.
And I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Jeremy, because they announced in the press release that this is 5 years after the events of the first game, which lines it up perfectly with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So take that as you will. I'm not saying Cal's going to show up, but if he did show up, I don't know what I would do. I would just spontaneously combust in that moment. But in terms of the trailer, we didn't get a lot, but we got some teases of some pretty big things.
Like his saber's fixed.
Right, his saber's fixed, which is cool. I'm sure there's going to be more customization and finding different pieces and parts for it.
No double-sided, my guess would be.
What's that?
No double-sided saber this time around.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. I wonder if there's a story reason for that, or maybe they just want you to go through the process of building another one, you know? But anyway, in terms of the trailer, Cal's a little bit older. He still got BD1, obviously, fixed lightsaber. One of the main characters was this Powin or Payuin. I don't know how to pronounce the species, but everyone lost their mind. It was like Grand Inquisitor and another thing. But apparently this guy is a senator. I saw that like today. So it's not the Grand Inquisitor, which is interesting, but he seems very, very evil, and he's going after Cal for some reason. And the opening shot of the trailer is interesting because it's the Mantis, and it's like crashed, and there's like no one on board, so we don't know where Grease is, we don't know where Seer is, right? And then the trailer, and there's some action sequences, and then the trailer ends with Cal and BD1 staring up at this tank, and there's somebody in it, we don't know who. So I'll throw it to you guys, thoughts on the trailer, and where do you think the story is going now that it's 5 years after the events of the first game?
The amount of time interested me. Like the fact that they jumped 5 years made me very curious as to why they would do that. But at the same time, I think from a storytelling perspective, it's a nice number because you can incorporate flashbacks into this story the way you had them in the first game. So that really has me interested because, like you said, this is around the time of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I don't want to speak anything into existence because we always have to be careful what we wish for with Jedi at this period of time.
You're right. Yeah.
In the world. So I'm glad that it's not the Grand Inquisitor, because I think at this point, I didn't think I would ever say this, but I think we're seeing too much of the Grand Inquisitor in the world of Star Wars at this point, just because I think Rebels did such a great job of kind of telling his stories, and then we get little snippets here. But, with everything that's going on in Obi-Wan, I think, less is more with the Grand Inquisitors. There's a lot more things we could do. The fact that it is a senator has me intrigued. I would love to seeing a Jedi kind of deal with a more political thriller type of story would be a lot more unique and interesting than kind of Jedi on Inquisitor, Jedi on Sith kind of story that we've seen for most of the history of Star Wars. So that would be kind of cool. But yeah, that's my just quick thoughts on everything.
Yeah, and we do see in the trailer a hooded figure with a double-sided red lightsaber. I mean, could be a new Inquisitor, could be something else, right? But yeah, the Senator is interesting, like you said, a more political villain, someone that's not going to fight you with, a lightsaber and weapons, someone who's going to be like, kind of being the puppeteer, right, with his minions and different things. So it's interesting the journey Cal's going to be on in this one, and the obstacles he's going to face in comparison to the first game. And we see because of toy leaks, of course, we saw some new potential people you'll be fighting, right? The Grievous guards, I don't remember what they're called from Revenge of the Sith with the double-sided purple. You're going to be able to fight them in the game, which is cool. The Scout Troopers are back, which is fun. But other than that, we don't know a lot about this game. And I think that's good. I'm excited for it to be here, and it will be here next year, hopefully early next year, like January, February next year. Not, October, November next year, but remains to be seen. Matt, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
I mean, I think you're looking at a holiday release, Toby. I'm sorry.
Stop.
I'm sorry, Toby. You're probably looking at a holiday release.
So post-holiday 2022, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying holiday season 2023, October, November, right around the time people start shopping for Christmas, because that's when you're able to really capitalize on brand new games without having to sacrifice the bank.
No, I will not stand for it. The only thing I will say is I remember reading certain reports early this year that they were really fighting tooth and nail to get the game out this year. So that tells me that if there was even a possibility, it would be this year, but they ended up having to push it. So that it will be early next year.
I will say this, because apparently we're going to see some of it at E3. If we are getting gameplay at E3, I'll say early 2023. If we're not getting gameplay, then sorry, Toby.
I mean, I'm keeping my hopes up for early next year because I want to see what Cal's been up to, and also that it opens up the door for, if this has been a 5-year gap, we can see other materials with Cal and BD1, comic books in between that time, novels.
I'm pretty sure that was the idea behind it, if you know Lucasfilm well enough.
Right. Yeah, Lucasfilm does not leave any gap unfilled. Eventually we get there, right? I mean, it took us this long to get to the gaps in between Empire and Return of the Jedi, and we're telling that story right now through the comic books. So, yeah, I'm crossing my fingers for something to, keep me occupied until the game officially does come out.
It's called Obi-Wan.
I mean, yes, but I mean, actually, you are 1000% right. There is so much stuff coming within the next few months, the next few years, and a lot of that was really teased and announced at this year's celebration. So, transitioning into, let's talk about Tales of the Jedi. You want to talk about that for a second? So, this was actually leaked forever ago on like a Lucasfilm party present thing, like an end of the year gift for its employees. Like they had the logos for Book of Boba Fett, for Obi-Wan, and then this was just there. And so we've all been wondering this whole time, like, what is this Tales of the Jedi project? And we found out today that it is a project that Lucasfilm Animation and Dave Filoni has been in development for some time, using the classic Clone Wars animation that we've grown to know and love. And these are going to be animated shorts. They did not specify what shorts means, but I feel like with the tag shorts there tells me this is going to be under 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes is like, for in television at least, is the cap of a short.
Right. And we're getting 6 episodes, and 3 of them will follow Ahsoka in different stories. The first one being what seems like her origin story, which I don't know if I don't know if I personally needed that. I just liked the idea that she was Force sensitive, and Plo Koon, took her to, Coruscant, and she became a youngling, and, we know pretty much the rest of that. So, I mean, I guess that's cool, but, Dave Filoni running the show, we were going to get Ahsoka stuff, but we're getting 3 Ahsoka stories, and we're getting, I believe, 3 Count Dooku / Qui-Gon stories, which I think is super interesting. And Liam Neeson will be voicing Qui-Gon, the older Qui-Gon, and then Liam Neeson's son will be voicing younger Qui-Gon, right? So, and we got some concept art of a younger Count Dooku, an older Count Dooku. We got some concept art of Qui-Gon. So very interesting, right? 6 episodes, all being prequel era. I wonder if this is just kind of a soft launch of something they plan to do more on in the future and go to different eras, different parts of the timeline. So I'm very intrigued with this, but I'm only hesitant because I don't like the shorts thing. Like if this was like Clone Wars style, 25, 30-minute episodes, I'd be 1000% on board. But I don't know if 15 minutes is enough time to tell a complete story, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. Pat, what do you think?
This is one of the things that had me the most excited this weekend, because I understand where you're coming from, that 22 to 25 episode length of like the Clone Wars and Rebels, but those were dealing with large casts of characters over extended periods of time. A 3-episode, 15-minute length episode that's focused on a story, I think will be done extremely well. Just the fact that Dave Filoni's involved and we're getting the final season of the Clone Wars animation style back, it is just so exciting to me. The Ahsoka stuff, I'm interested. I'm not 100% sold on that, but the Qui-Gon Dooku stuff has me so excited because that's a relationship that's always interested me. And it's always fascinating because you have Dooku trained by Yoda, trained Qui-Gon, trained by one of the most famous Jedi, most historic Jedi, who goes on to train a Jedi who essentially was a rebel, who, didn't 100% agree with the council and wanted to do things his own way. And I want to see, Qui-Gon learn a little bit of that ideology from Dooku. And I want to see that relationship explored, because that to me has always been fascinating. And that's something that we've never really seen outside of, comics and books. So to see that put into any sort of motion at all, I think is something that will get the fan base very excited.
No, yeah, I agree with everything you've said. And if anyone who's read the Master and Apprentice book by Claudia Gray teases a lot of that Qui-Gon and Count Dooku relationship. Yes, Matt, you have the cool cover that I don't have. I get it.
No, that's just, it's just right here. You know what's funny?
It's right by you. You have it like in your holster, just ready to just show
Bookshelf.
on camera.
Bookshelf.
Okay, fine. But no, I totally hear you. I'm really interested in exploring the relationship even more. I'll never forget. I watched Attack of the Clones for the first time when I was like 5, and I remember all the flashy action stuff. But when I was old enough, I think maybe 8, 9 years old, when I finally understood that Qui-Gon trained Count Dooku, I was like, psh, I was like, I didn't.
Count Dooku trained Qui-Gon, you mean?
Right. Yeah, the other way around. No, I remember like being like, holy crap, like Qui-Gon, the guy that I really like looked up to at a young age in terms of Jedi. So he was trained by that guy, like the mean old guy with the curved red lightsaber, like really. And so we've gotten some Dooku stories, especially the last couple of years with Dooku Jedi Lost, which I haven't read yet. I really want to get to it eventually. So yeah, exploring more of their relationship and getting more backstory with Dooku is, again, just going to add more context to Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, the Clone Wars, right? And that always is a good thing in Star Wars, going back in time, kind of setting up where, in kind of figuring out how characters got to certain places. Matt, thoughts?
I mean, the biggest thing for me here was, because after I messaged you about this, the first person I messaged was Pat. Mm-hmm. And his reaction was, what is going on?
And we both forgot about this panel, like completely, because there's just been so much going on, right? Mando Plus was at the top of my head for today. And then
it was like right after Mando Plus. And it's like, oh yeah, this is happening.
Whoop. Yeah. It was a nice surprise. And we've gotten actually a few little animated projects announced this last couple of days. One of them we don't have to get super duper into, but Young Jedi Adventures, which is a High Republic animated series for younglings. Like, that actually is super exciting as a High Republic fan to see, these maybe some characters that I've read about in, a medium I can watch on my television. I understand it's for little kids. It's even going to air on Disney Junior. But that doesn't mean there might not be some value in it for the older folks. So that's really cool to me. But anything else from Tales of the Jedi you guys want to get into, or should we get into the meaty stuff of Mando Plus?
Well, before we
or am I skipping more things? Because that's all I've done today is just skip over things.
I just want to get 3 quick things to the shit we missed in regards to new shit. Colin.
Colin, my friend, we miss you.
So there is 4 quick things that we missed, along with the Kamado that dropped at Galaxy's Edge today. We did get,
yes, the fake Star Wars currency.
Yeah, I was excited for this until I saw the prices for them, and now I'm not interested in these whatsoever. So these are each $35, $35.99 a pop for fake money.
I mean, if you want to really get that serious with your cosplays, then more power to you. If you want to fill up your Camtono that they will be selling at Galaxy's Edge now with fake money, again, more power to you. But I'm a pass on that one.
Yeah,
there's more interesting things I would rather spend my money on.
Yeah, and then quickly, Black Series stuff that Toby.
And yes, toys. We haven't talked about toys yet. Let's just a quick rundown of the toys.
The concept series stuff for Black Series. That is right. Cool. Concept series. We are getting concept Obi-Wan and concept Vader. It's supposed to be pre-orderable on shopdisney.com on June 1st. Watch Toby and I cry as we pay the price for this. And because I'd like to see more concept series stuff, because I absolutely love the Ralph McQuarrie artwork. Yeah, so to get that's just awesome to me.
Yeah, they did the concept Funko Pops about a year or 2 ago. And
I got one
really
of them.
Cool.
Yeah. More popping in the chat from me and Toby. Ayla Sakura getting her own Black Series figure. That's right. Finally getting more Jedi. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Also, Magistrate Grief Karga.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Finally giving him an improved face, because I don't know what the fuck that face was in the first Black Series. Looks like a goddamn toad.
I would just like to point out the bottom right corner there. I think that's
2023.
That's important. Why? Why? I know I talk about this every show, but why aren't there toys on shelves now? Make it make sense. There was a ginormous project that we are currently watching, and there was nothing to buy. This figure is from 2 years ago.
Toby,
what are we doing?
Don't forget, we already know, as of those of us who've seen the leaked trailer, he's already got another new look.
Yeah. What
that'll be out by the time this figure.
I just don't understand. Okay,
this figure is going to be great for anyone looking to make a custom Chubbs from Happy Gilmore figure.
I love that. Yes.
And the one that really made Toby and I pop, we're finally getting to see them all.
That's a good one.
That's awesome.
With the Asajj Ventress corrupted saber.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's
but
gorgeous.
again, and I don't want to be negative Nancy, but Clone Wars Season 7 was forever ago.
And they gave us basically every figure you could want from it outside of this.
Yeah, we got Ahsoka relatively quickly after that aired, but we couldn't have gotten Maul too.
They gave us they gave us the Mandalorians and the Loyalists.
Listen, I will give Lucasfilm the benefit of the doubt when it comes to new characters, new surprises. They don't want those to get leaked in toy form. So I understand putting those off until the show airs. Darth Maul is not a spoiler for Clone Wars Season 7. That should have been ready to go when that show aired. I don't understand what they're doing, because Marvel does not have this problem, right? And it's Hasbro too. With the Marvel Legends stuff, they get released as the characters show up on screen, right? I'll never forget that the Captain America figure, Sam Wilson, was on store shelves the next week after that show aired. So I don't know what's going on, but it's driving me crazy. The Book of Boba Fett figure is finally on shelves now, and that show aired 6 months ago.
Marvel's got swagger. Marvel's like, we'll release these a month early, and you'll still come see our movies. We don't care.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I think that has to do with Marvel being like, "Oh, this shit already leaks as it is anyway."
Yeah. I guess. I mean, they're just kind of leaning into it at this point.
Yeah.
But you got Grogu. You want a Grogu spoon? You want a Grogu
everything.
Rocking chair? You want a Grogu
toilet paper?
But even that, there was a huge delay in Grogu on the shelf.
That's one of those things. Toby's like, I understood, because they didn't want that specific thing to leak.
Anyway, moving on. Is there any other toys we want to talk about?
We got all of them.
And I talked about all the fun High Republic stuff Thursday. so we won't get into any more of that stuff. And all the publishing stuff is happening today too. Maybe we'll save that for
nothing
next
new.
week.
It's just it was all cover art for stuff we knew we were getting.
Okay, cool. Mando Plus, yeah.
Do
Okay. So this panel, unfortunately, was not aired to the public. I don't know why. They showed 2 trailers. They showed an Ahsoka teaser and I think the same Mando trailer that they showed the other day. But the panel itself, I actually watched it. Someone filmed it and put it on the internet.
They are the MVP of the day.
Shout out to that random internet person, because the panel was incredible. Like, Pat, I don't know if you got to watch it or if you just followed
sent it to him.
Yeah, he sent it to me. I watched like the main points, and I definitely saw that trailer. And I definitely
yeah. It was hard to not watch that. Right?
I may have sent him the trailer,
but I love the panel so much. Number one, Ash Crossan, just such a great host and such a great ambassador for Star Wars in terms of just the grand, she's an important journalist in Hollywood and she cares and she's professional. She has these great relationships with the cast and crew of all these shows that we love. So she was the perfect person to host it. And it starts off really just kind of an appreciation for Dave and John and what we've done up to this point in the Mandoverse. They bring on Pedro. Pedro talks for a little bit. And of course they can't talk about anything because they don't want to spoil anything. And we appreciate that. But it's just such a fun atmosphere. The audience they gave like Pedro like a 3-minute standing ovation. Like it was so fun.
And then what I did love about that is they allowed the people who are the Mandalorian when Pedro isn't the Mandalorian to get their flowers. They brought on Brendan Wayne and the other man whose name is escaping me right now. They are also the Mandalorian and they deserve to be up here as much as I do. And I was like, wow, I never saw this coming. Bravo. Right.
Yeah, I loved it being called Mando Plus. We had an idea of like, oh, this is not just going to be Mandalorian. This is going to be, Ahsoka and whatever else they have planned. But they really did gear shift after, Giancarlo Esposito showed up and talked for a little bit. He had this great bit about how he's gonna get that bastard Grogu. I thought that was really fun. But no, they really switched gears into Ahsoka, and they talked about Ahsoka for a minute, right? And I don't want to go much any further because I know you guys probably want to chime in. But Rosario takes the stage and talks about how much she loves the character and how she's talking about how Boss Logic did the fan art and she put it up on her Instagram and it blew up and Dave saw it and that kind of led to their conversations. But the big thing for me was, did not see this coming at all, but they brought on
Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
Yeah, we got confirmation on Sabine's casting, and that just once I saw that on Twitter, I was like, oh, you got my attention now. She's great, and she seems to really love the character. And again, the applause that she got was absolutely insane. So Pat, up to this point in the panel, just thoughts on Mando Plus.
How can I put this?
Pat, we're about to get on our pedestal now. Just let's go ahead.
Star Wars Rebels, I think, to me, the way that you spoke about Jedi Fallen Order is the way I feel about Star Wars Rebels. Okay. It was, to me, I ended up loving that show. By the time it was over, that ended up being probably my favorite piece of Disney Star Wars content. I fell in love with that show. I fell in love with the story that it told, that family, those characters. So having that Ahsoka trailer that we saw, we watched the trailer, and seeing Hera there, and seeing Sabine, and seeing the mural from the end of Rebels, and seeing Chopper, who is the best droid in all of Star Wars. I'm sorry, I love Chopper. He's a salty boy like myself, and just having all of these things, and just knowing that they're going to be in this Ahsoka series, and that Dave Filoni is going to be heavily involved in this series.
He's directing multiple episodes.
And he wrote every episode, I believe,
because that is his baby. Makes me so excited. I'm so excited for this show. I'm so curious too. Like, who is playing Hera? Do we think that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is playing her?
I called that when she got cast. I'm like, you know what? Because Vanessa Taylor isn't necessarily the right age, and you're kicking off a couple years after Rebels, most likely.
Yeah.
Mew is the perfect age and perfect voice pitch and perfect spunk to play Hera.
And I mean, I don't want to spoil Rebels, but I will say there is a character that we see at the end of Rebels that I'm very curious to see if we're going to see in this series. And that also has me very excited, knowing that Hera and Chopper are going to be here.
And
okay.
the ghost.
I had to think for a second who you were talking about, and 1000%.
Let me just put it to you this way: the color green is involved.
Yes. You know what? I want to talk about it. So if you've not seen Rebels for whatever reason, just pause the video for like 2 minutes. Yeah, Kanan and Hera's daughter or son will be
Jason Syndulla.
Yeah, Jason. Say Jason Syndulla will 1000% be in the show. I don't know where else he would be because Hera is in the trailer. We see the back of her head, right? I don't know where they are. It's because you can like kind of see it. But
another reason I think it's Mew is because it's like you clearly didn't show her face for a reason. Because you don't want fans to be like, you recast another one. I'm sorry, Toby. I know you're on the Tia Sakar train for a bit, and I had to be like, bro, she's 40 in the wrong race. Sorry.
No, I've totally hopped on your side now, especially after seeing her, and just her enthusiasm and getting a feel of who she is as a person. And clearly, Dave and John know what they're doing with these castings, and is actually in the panel. Matt, I know you watched the whole thing. Pat, I don't know if you saw it. But
I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I watched the majority of it.
Okay, because Dave went on this whole kind of diatribe about how much him and John care about these shows, about these characters, and they put so much thought into who they're going to cast to play these, not only the new characters, but the legacy characters, even more importantly, because they know that the fans have an attachment to them. And, you know, they've spent a lot of time with them and they want it to be consistent as they translate into a different medium. So I trust John and Dave with everything with these castings. And when Rosario was rumored, I was a little bit on the fence about it.
I was not.
Mostly, not necessarily the casting, just mostly like how would an alien like Ahsoka translate into live action. I think they've done a great job thus far. They've even made improvements because in the trailer, Ahsoka's Laku is longer. The headpiece just looks better. Her face paint looks better. They've just pulled out all of the stops to make it look as authentic as they can. And I mean, Ahsoka is the main character, so that obviously makes sense. But along with that, I believe Sabine will be Sabine. I believe Hera, whoever is playing her, that will be Hera for a new medium, a new audience, right? Maybe people who aren't familiar with Rebels will watch the show and go back. I mean, that's typical Star Wars, right? Like you watch a new show and characters that are new to you, and then you go back and you kind of fill in the gaps yourself with the other projects and stuff.
You know, screw it, I was holding back. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
This is the shot that made me shed a tear.
That mural, it's the same. Like it's the same.
It's like it's the same, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is like it's virtually a recreation of one of the last frames we get in the series finale of Rebels. Like I can, and because we've now seen Natasha's face, I can already picture the turnaround, and I'm like, oh my god,
right? No, I totally see the prologue of Rebels being like shot for shot in live action. That's going to lead us into the show.
I mean,
I'm getting just like, and like just thinking about all the possibilities, like them finding Ezra and then him interacting with Jason Syndulla, and it's kind of like a passing of the torch in the way of like, oh, I need to do what you do for you, what your father did for me in a way,
right?
And I'm just so excited, and the way that you talking about how Dave and Favreau, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau talk about these characters, and they have this extreme passion and love and devotion to these characters. I think that translates so much. And even though it doesn't work all the time, like I still feel like with Luke, there's some issues that need to get ironed out. I think that you could tell that a lot of thought and love and care are put into all of the decisions they make on these shows. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm very excited.
And I mean, if there was any question that the Ahsoka show was or wasn't going to be Rebels 2, this is Rebels 2. It's Rebels 2. And I don't know, the thought and the planning that went into that decision. I still think that probably 2-3 years ago, Dave was in the process of starting Rebels 2 in animation. Like I think that was going right.
and then he got a taste of the of the volume, and he's like, you know what?
Right. And I like that too, because I don't think Dave will be able to make this show if he didn't have the experience from working on The Mandalorian, right? And I know Deborah Chow has said that exact thing with Obi-Wan. She said she would not have felt comfortable doing Obi-Wan if she didn't have the experience that she had working on The Mandalorian. So The Mandalorian, and I love too that John and Dave talked in this panel and also the big Lucasfilm panel on Thursday about how this started out as just kind of the little show that they kind of thought of, right? I mean, I know John had an idea for a Mandalorian show, and then Dave also had an idea for an animated Mandalorian show, and they kind of put their heads together and was like, hey, like, let's try this out. And
thanks to Kathleen Kennedy, give her flowers, because a lot of people won't.
Right. And it was a gamble for them. Yeah, it was a gamble for them to make this show because Disney Plus was just now launching. This is the first live action Star Wars show. Like, are fans going to care about this new Mandalorian? And then we all know what happened. Grogu and Mando stole our hearts. And the success of that show has led to the possibilities of Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan, and, The Acolyte, and all of these other projects that are coming really soon. So you got to credit John and Dave for, setting the foundation for live action Star Wars, and to see the fruits that we're getting now is just, it's just so exciting, right? It's hard to fathom how much stuff we're going to be getting in the next couple of years.
Also, something I think that needs to be mentioned from today's panel that was announced, and I think it's important. Rick Famuyiwa is an executive producer on season 3 of The Mando.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That's super cool. I like the idea of adding more talented people to be producers, so it kind of takes the weight off of John and Dave's shoulders, because they're very, very, very busy.
Because it seems like, because there was that question in the beginning. What does the success of these shows mean for Star Wars TV going forward? And Favreau's just like, more.
Right.
That's what everyone wanted to. Everyone popped, and he made a comment of, this is what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. This is, it's like, cool. Go ahead. I'm all here for it. I know I am, at least. I think I can speak for everyone on the screen right now saying we all are.
Oh, 1000%. And it makes me feel good that he cares that much and that he's in it for the long haul, but also makes me feel a little relieved that we're getting more and more talented people. Like I just said, the Bryce Dallas Howards of the world, the Famuyuas of the world, the Robert Rodriguez's of the world, for them to just kind of take over and kind of run with their projects. And then that way Dave and John can kind of take more time for The Mandalorian, the big tentpole one, Ahsoka, obviously, and then other projects that Dave has lined up in animation, because I'm sure there's more and more coming. I mean, Bad Batch is tomorrow. So we'll have to catch up with that probably next week to kind of wrap up Celebration, any other big news that comes out. But in terms of the last couple days, fellas, am I missing anything?
Oh,
I'm sure I am.
No, there's this tweet that
Oh, okay. I figured you would probably bring this up. So
great guy. What a nice random tweet.
Like, does he really think that he's slick or something?
Because he tweeted out, he's like, guys, I'm not working. He's like, I'm not working on it. It's like, bro, it's literally the only show you mentioned by name in this.
Right. Like, why? If he would have congratulated, like, I don't know, the Tales of the Jedi panel, like, shout out to those guys. Like, I'm excited for Tales of the Jedi. Maybe we'd be like, oh, okay, he's just a Star Wars fan. But he picks the show that has a character that he looks exactly like. Mina Masood's playing Ezra.
Can I just say the irony in the fact that when Ezra was first created, the younger Ezra everyone said was Space Aladdin, and now they went out and got real live action Aladdin.
I mean, it's perfect. Like, I don't love to use that word. Actually,
and his voice sounds perfect. Just right for it too. If you listen, just sounds like. Granted, personally, I thought Taylor Gray could still play him, but I'm not going to complain. I loved Mina Masood and Aladdin, and I know some people didn't, which I don't know why, but it is what it is. I thought he was great. But I was just like, yep, this dude just accidentally confirmed, and I guarantee you the tweet that came out 5 minutes after is like, no, I'm not in it. Lucasfilm was like, tweet it out. Tweet that out.
Like, do it.
He's probably getting phone calls like as we speak. like from
they're like,
Lucasfilm
did you see what we
producers.
did to Luke Skywalker? See how easy it is for us to replace faces? We'll
Right.
do it to you.
I mean, it is interesting. No, it's interesting that they haven't confirmed this yet. I mean, we got Sabine is
I thought
confirmed.
today would have been the day.
Like, we don't know Thrawn. We don't know who Thrawn. You know who's playing Thrawn
here's the
yet.
thing, we're not getting it until next year.
Yep.
So
I have a
many
theory.
potential points to build hype for this show. So each of those reveals is going to be a whole day's news cycle worth of big news. So I think they know exactly what they're doing with what they're revealing.
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
So we know Mando is February 2023. I think Ahsoka's coming out summer 2023, and the people at Celebration will get the first episode or two. So I'm really trying to be a Celebration next year, Toby. Hint, hint.
I mean, I think that tracks in terms of the timeline. We do a timeline segment every show about when's this show coming out in terms of this show and what's going to run congruent and parallel with this show. Like, it's very hard. And it's going to only get harder as more shows come out. But no, in terms of Ahsoka being in its third week of shooting, this was its third week of shooting going into their fourth week
already.
And we have a teaser. Yeah, I could see it airing almost immediately after Mando.
I wouldn't say immediately after, because Mando's been done filming since February. So if we're not getting Mando to a year after it's finished filming, Ahsoka makes sense a year after also.
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends, the episode count, the amount of money they're throwing at this thing. I mean, I didn't watch the Mando teaser, but everyone was saying that it looks like they increased the budget like tenfold, which is exciting, but that means it's just going to take longer to make, which double-edged sword there, I guess.
I don't mind to wait for quality. Like, I'll wait for quality.
Yes.
Make me wait for garbage. I'll be angry.
I agree with you. Anything else, fellas?
Well, let's see. There's the Taika Waititi film.
Yeah.
And there's the Lando news.
Okay.
The Lando news. I thought there was no Lando news.
Oh, we got some Lando news as of today. Hold on. I'll pull it up.
I thought the Lando news was that there was no Lando news. But now there is Lando news.
I mean,
Kennedy spoke on it today.
Supposedly, long story short, it's been scheduling has been the biggest thing.
One of the busiest people in the world, I assume.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy says scheduling to blame for delays on Lando. In an interview with Yahoo, Kevin Polloy was asking her about it, and she acknowledges that Glover is very popular and very busy performer, which has made it very difficult to begin production on the series, adding, if we could do that tomorrow, I would love it. She remains optimistic and says conversations are still ongoing. And this kind of mimics what Donald Glover was saying, because a couple months ago when he first started his Atlanta press tour, somebody asked it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Conversations are still happening, and yeah, it's like both of them, like, it's happening. We just don't know when." That's what we're essentially getting from both sides.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that's half of, Lucasfilm right now, right? I mean, Rian Johnson's project, it's happening eventually. He's very busy with other things, and I know.
Trust us, he's still here.
Right?
He's still writing.
And Donald Glover, he was working on Atlanta for a year, and then he's got the Amazon show he's working on.
Yeah, Mr.
He's also Childish Gambino, so hopefully an album soon.
Hopefully he also does
his final album. He said his final album. Remind her about that, Toby. He said this next one is his final one.
No, I don't buy that one.
I don't believe that at all.
Artists don't retire. They quit for a minute. They get bored. They make new art like that.
If it was anyone else, I wouldn't buy it. But this man has been very committal to the stuff he says.
If he stops it to do the Community movie, then I will believe it. 6 seasons and a movie. We need the movie, Donald.
But no, in terms of Taika, I said on this program a few weeks ago that I believed Taika's movie would be first. I actually also said that I thought he would take the Celebration stage and surprise everybody. That didn't happen.
That was my one prediction of the last week that I got wrong.
But no, that being first, not surprising to me, and I'm very excited for what he's got planned. I know Kathleen Kennedy said that they're shooting for late next year.
And Toby and I were talking about this earlier. It's how does that make sense? Make sense.
I mean, the only way it lines up in my head is he's going to be doing Thor stuff up until like August, September. He might take a break for a couple months. Maybe production starts in, late fall, early winter of this year. And then maybe production lasts, 7-8 months, and then post-production maybe late next year or early 2024. But I've also said a million times, and Pat, I'm actually curious your take on this. I'm good on Star Wars movies for a while. Like I'm good with just TV, right? Like I don't need Star Wars movies for another, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Like I'm cool. Like let me enjoy my TV. Like enjoy in the comfort of my own home. Get excited every single week for a new episode, right? So, and I mean, I like the sequel trilogy for what it is. I'm not sure your thoughts on it, but I mean, it's very clear that they didn't have a long-term plan. They were very, rushed by, the people above them. I don't blame Kathleen Kennedy at all for that. I actually blame, Bob Iger for obviously investing billions of dollars in this franchise, and they had to kind of bank on their investment as fast as possible. But they seem to have gotten their footing and, got their schedules, figured out, and everyone's kind of on the same page in terms of, the television side. So I want them to take all the time they need for the movie side so that what we get when we go to a movie theater is the best product possible and that it's planned out. So I'm curious how you feel about that.
It's interesting because to have all of these major Star Wars announcements and there not be anything about the movies is a very interesting feeling, because Star Wars, and I think that's just showing the evolution of how we ingest, media nowadays. And I don't mind it. I don't mind there not being Star Wars movies on the docket right now. It's just a strange feeling, but I do like that they're putting it on the back burner for the foreseeable future, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. There was a couple fumbles with the movies, like how they released Solo was beyond stupid, releasing it so close to Infinity War. Just a lot of fumbles in there, and it hurt the franchise as a whole. So I think make us miss it. Make us miss Star Wars on the big screen, so that when we get it, we're excited, and we come out like we come out like we did for The Phantom Menace, and we come out for like we did for The Force Awakens, and then knock us off our feet with a great Star Wars movie. So I don't need Star Wars on the big screen, especially not when they're producing stuff that I'm really enjoying on Disney Plus. The Mandalorian, I've loved. Book of Boba Fett, I was mixed on, but so far with Kenobi, I'm like, yes, keep doing stuff like this, and you'll keep your name in the pop culture zeitgeist for the foreseeable future. And yeah, just really make sure when you do bring us back to the cinemas, you come correct and you give us something that's going to unite the entire fan base, which is impossible for any fan base, but the majority of the fan base.
Yeah, and it made me feel a little bit better in that Vanity Fair article where Kathleen Kennedy spoke very clearly about how if you're going to get involved with this, it needs to be a 5 to 6 year commitment, right? You can't just show up, make a movie, and dip, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to call out people, but I feel like
Johnson.
Okay. What? Okay. Matt, you got a little something in your throat there? Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna call out names.
The knives out, okay, guys.
That's actually not the name I was thinking of, but anyway,
you were thinking of JJ, but at least he came back. There's something we can say. He came back.
Listen, he's DC's problem now, okay? There's a lot of stuff he's not doing for them at the moment.
Dude,
okay?
They backed up with a Brinks truck to get him to do 9. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, I don't want to get negative. But my point is that anyone coming on to make any Star Wars thing is committed for the long haul. And I think that's important. And I think that's good to hear from the main president of Star Wars. The president of Star Wars is saying that people were bringing in care and they want to be here for a long time, right? I mean, you heard John say that today on the panel stage, that he is excited to be doing this for the long haul. So that makes me feel good that we're going to have more.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, I was going to say, I'm glad we're going to be seeing more Jon Favreau's coming on to Star Wars.
Yeah, and what I love that you talked about is how they're shepherding in like these new, very talented creatives. Because, like, one of the quotes from Star Wars from Episode 8, the most well-received Star Wars movie and in no way divisive, was, when Yoda told Luke, "We have to pass on what we learned," and that's how Dave Filoni came to be Dave Filoni. George Lucas passed on what he knew to Dave Filoni, who is now passing it on to Jon Favreau, who in return is passing on his knowledge of filmmaking and live action filmmaking to Dave, who then passes it on to all of these other very talented people around them. And they're cultivating this group of very talented directors, writers, creatives, and they're building this circle inside of Lucasfilm right now that I think is going to be pumping out quality content for the very far foreseeable future right now.
No, you could not have said it any better, right? And I guess we can end with this. During the Mando, there's more stuff that I forgot.
There's something I forgot that should have gone with the park update.
Okay. Anyway, what I'll say is, I spoke earlier about Dave going on this diatribe about how him and John really care about these characters and how they want to get it right. But he also spoke about how they just care about Star Wars in general, just as a piece of pop culture, as a piece of storytelling that we've all hold near and dear to our hearts for 45 years, right? We just celebrated the anniversary of A New Hope. I was not alive 45 years ago, but my dad saw A New Hope in theaters when it came out, and he passed it on to me and to my brothers, and now I'm passing it on to my niece, right? She always runs into my room and grabs my lightsaber and wants to play, right? And that's what matters at the end of the day. And the fact that they see that and they care that much that they want to put out the best product possible means that we are in good hands for a long, long time. Matt, what did you forget?
Star Tours is getting new destinations.
Oh, man. Star Tours. What a way to end the show. Star Tours.
Oh, we're still not in that because Pat and I have some words about this celebration.
Oh, okay. Wow. Oh, okay.
Switching
gears.
Lucas, you better listen to us because we have issues.
Okay, get your grievances out there. Okay. I'm all for it.
So real quick. So Star Tours is getting new destinations. It's this year's the 35th anniversary of Star Tours, and we're getting some new stuff. My guess is from the TV shows because they did add stuff for Rise of Skywalker, for Kef Burr and other areas. So it'll be nice that ride to get another update. So
cool. I did Star Tours when I was at Disney World, and it was my first time doing it, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know that much about it, to be honest. And it was like an amalgamation of all of Star Wars, right? There was prequel locations, there was sequel locations, there's original trilogy locations. I thought it was sick, but at the same time, we rode it immediately after I got done doing Rise of the Resistance. So in comparison, it felt like a kiddie ride, but I still loved it. Like, it was a lot of fun. But anyway, anything else you guys want to talk about?
Pat's like, no, I'm ready to go. I've been ready to go. He's like,
all right, okay. The floor is yours.
I mean, here's the thing. Star Wars, as we know, is a franchise that's not used to angering their fan base. Everyone knows that the Star Wars fan base is one of the most reasonable fan bases of all time, and their needs have always been met by the company that makes their franchise. But I really think the way that Lucasfilm handles Star Wars Celebration is terrible. It's almost insulting to the fan base in a way that these I understand they don't want to show the trailers, but the fact that these panels aren't live streamed in 2022 coming out of a global pandemic is absurd. Is just ridiculous. Even the fact that there's no make an online ticket, make an online convention ticket if you don't want to lose money, if you don't want people to watch the convention for free. I guarantee you will make money off of that. Just make this more accessible to your entire fan base, because Star Wars is a fan base that is not getting smaller. It's only getting like you said, we're passing it on through the generations. It's only getting bigger, and there's no way you're ever going to make this a convention that's accessible to everyone. So the fact that the least you could do is just get us involved, get us like, because you'll have so much more Twitter engagement or online engagement from people tweeting out quotes from the panel, and it just makes no sense to me.
You wouldn't have people like us scouring the internet for a leaked Ahsoka trailer.
Yeah. Like everyone has watched the Ahsoka trailer. Everyone who wants to watch the Ahsoka trailer has watched it already. And we watched a phone rip of it. Wouldn't it have been nice if you just released it like an hour or a couple hours later officially? Like, wouldn't that have been nice?
No,
wouldn't that have got like right. Wouldn't that have got Ahsoka trending like through the roof on Twitter, or just have all of this build up for the series? I don't understand it. It's an old way of thinking. When I was growing up, this is how San Diego Comic-Con used to be. But since then, everything has kind of changed. Like, a lot of their panels are online. Trailers are released immediately following panels. So, I understand you want people who come to the event to feel exclusive, but there are ways to do that without essentially punishing the rest of the fan base, I think, who don't have the same opportunities.
Well, Pat, you nailed it. But here's the thing. I agree with you. Lucas Star Wars Celebration in the past has always been a convention well known for treating their fans well. Like the Rise of Skywalker panel was live streamed last year for everyone to watch. Yeah. The every main panel of 2019 Celebration, like the first panel in the morning, was streamed for people to watch live. I don't know what changed this year. Like, I talked to people like, yeah, I was like, what? So what was it that they showed? Because people know I had the overflow room for Mandalorian. Like, so what was it they showed? It's like, oh, they gave us a trailer. What? Like, I told you this, and I told Toby this. If they blacked it out and said convention exclusive event happening at it, just black window convention exclusive event, stream will resume in however many seconds. That would have worked perfectly fine. But they're not doing that. It kind of sucks because I know, like, I missed watching, like, and even the bigger in general panels. Mando Plus wasn't even the first panel of the day. They didn't show it to us. The Lucasfilm showcase, which was the panel everyone who wasn't going to this event was talking about, being excited for seeing myself and Toby and Colin and so many others. We couldn't even watch that. So, and that one pissed me off more because realistically, the only thing that was exclusive that they got that we didn't get was the Mandalorian trailer, which if you looked online shortly afterwards, you found it.
Almost immediately after.
Yeah.
So, like, thanks to Christian Harloff, who we got to hear the Obi-Wan theme, which was supposed to be the only other exclusive. I'm sorry, but those people being able to see John Williams live in person is exclusive enough for me. Like, there's so many things that they could have done. I would have loved to see that preview of the ILM documentary series coming to Disney Plus. They had a panel for that today. Didn't get to see that. I can't even remember what the main panel was yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just say part of the excitement of Celebration, right, is the announcements, the news, and you shouldn't have to follow that on a Twitter thread. And believe it or not, guys, not everyone has Twitter. And so how does the average, I don't know, 48-year-old Star Wars fan who doesn't have social media know about anything anymore? Like, I understand that, marketing is all on our phones now. It's all on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is the big one now. My parents don't have those. My parents don't know anything about any new Star Wars, Marvel, whatever, unless they see it on a commercial during NCIS. Like, and I'm not kidding. Like, they're not in it like we are. We kind of live in a bubble, right? Because we just breathe this stuff. But there's a ginormous percentage of the fan base that do not. Like, they love Star Wars, they love Marvel, they love DC, but they don't have social media, so they don't know about this stuff. And I feel like places like Celebration and the Comic Cons, the big, conventions and stuff, I think live streaming, their panels in a place like YouTube, which is a little bit more, I would say YouTube's probably more used than Twitter. I feel like that's fair to say.
Yeah.
And it's easier to follow. You get everything right there. You're watching it for people who don't have social media. And then people who do have social media can react together and have that discussion. And Ahsoka can go viral, like you said. And it's so funny during the panel, John even made a joke about like, put your phones away. And then he's like, you're not going to put your phones away. You're going to record this and you're going to put it online. So if you know that already, then just give it to us, right? It's just, it doesn't make sense.
Here's the thing. For those people who don't know, by the numbers, Star Wars Celebration size-wise rivals San Diego Comic-Con. They have nearly the same amount of people go to it for the entire weekend. Granted, you're not having like the same numbers daily, but it's pretty damn close for the entire weekend because not everyone gets a 4-day pass. Some people just buy a single pass here or there or a couple single-day passes. I know I had a 4-day pass last time. Toby had a 1-day pass. It happens. It's just, it is what it is. So why aren't you going to reward your fans and realize some people aren't able to just make the financial commitment? Because I know Toby and I, because we had talked about going to this for the longest. It got to the point where we thought they were going to push this back. So we're like, all right, we'll buy the tickets for the new date. And then out of the blue, they're like, oh yeah, tickets on sale next week for an event that's 2 months away. And we were like, we can't financially afford to do that.
Yeah, we were not prepared for that at all.
Yeah.
Like we had no like warning that, hey, we're still doing it on this May date. They're like, well, there wasn't our plan to go. We had luckily I booked my hotels through hotels.com. So like we were able to cancel the room, no issue. It's not like we had paid for anything. But like it kind of just sucked because you spend all this time looking forward to it. Yeah, they're probably going to give us like 6 months heads up. Gives you just enough time to get your payment for a room together, your spending money, your flights, and that's the real kicker. Because now since you're only giving people 2 months in advance, flights are uber freaking expensive. It's not like where you buy 7-8 months out and you can get a flight round trip for $300. No, flights were minimum round trip from Cleveland to California, minimum $650. I went to California in December of last year. You want to know how much I paid for that flight round trip? $300. So when you're asking fans to just upend their lives and change their plans 2 months out, and you're spending $600 to $700 on a plane ticket, $200 to attend the event, and in most cases, because these hotels knew what dates and whatnot the convention was coming, so they're already price gouging $200 to $300 a night for a hotel room. And depending on how many people you're staying with, that's either $300 to $600 a person per night, or just for the trip. So
it feels like a huge step back because I remember watching the Last Jedi panel with my brother and my cousin on a big computer screen.
40th anniversary panel.
Yep. The Carrie Fisher tribute that was streamed. So it's a huge step back, especially in a world where DC fandom exists, where DC of all franchises said we're going to try this during the pandemic era, and it was successful. So they did it again, and they rewarded their fans. They're like, this is going to be a weekend of the fans. This is what our schedule. If you want to tune in at these times. But that whole weekend was dominated by DC in the media cycle. Whereas this weekend, I feel like Star Wars news was coming in bursts, but it wasn't this weekend wasn't a celebration of Star Wars for anyone else but the people at Celebration.
And I think the key word here is communication or lack thereof, right? Like if you're not going to stream the panels, fine, but just tell us that. Like I didn't know that the Lucasfilm showcase
we didn't know until we were looking for it.
Yeah, you texted me 30 minutes before the panel started, like you're not going to be able to watch this. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not going to be able to watch?
Because we were talking about it literally. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to watch this panel tomorrow, and then we go to watch this. Like, yo, this stream doesn't start for like an hour, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, like instead I'm refreshing Twitter. I mean, shout out to Alex Damon for live tweeting it, but like I'm not getting the meaty stuff. And whoever, again, shout out to whoever recorded the Mando Plus panel. Like, thank you, homie, because you don't get that stuff in a live Twitter thread. You just get the main bullet points of like, this is what was announced. This was what was talked about. Here's a quote from somebody. Like, no, like seeing the interactions with the cast and the crew and how much they all appreciate each other. And I mean, you don't get that in a live Twitter thread. Like Grogu showed up at the very end of Mando Plus, and it was the most adorable thing I've ever seen. And you wouldn't have been able to see that unless someone recorded it. And that could have went viral. That could have blew up, got Star Wars trending. I mean, Grogu makes everything trend, right? Like that just, it's a no-brainer, but they decide to just make it exclusive for the people who were there. And I'm sorry, but there are people out there still who are not comfortable going to conventions. COVID-19 is still a thing, believe it or not. And I mean, as much as some people, myself included, are trying to keep it moving with our lives, there are people who are still aren't comfortable going to stuff like that. So make it, just let them watch it on their phone or on their computer or on their TV. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like if COVID-19 wasn't a thing, maybe we're having a different conversation, but there are still so many people out there who cannot go because they didn't feel safe going. And I feel like those people should at least be rewarded to watch, you know, the big panels. Like if you don't want to live stream the little stuff, like the publishing stuff or the Hasbro stuff, like fine, you don't want to waste the resources, but like Mando Plus should have been live streamed. The Lucasfilm panel should have been live streamed. The Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary panel should have been live streamed.
Was played 2 hours after the fact.
Right. And it's just, I don't know, man. I like you said, it was a step backwards for them. Like they just seemed like they were not prepared, even though they had an extra 2.5 years to prepare, you know? But hopefully they hear our grievances. Maybe they watch this video. I don't know. And they better prepare for next year. But hopefully we're there next year, so we don't have to worry about it. But
when you do watch this, we want you to know one thing. We are not complaining because we hate Star Wars. We're complaining because we love Star Wars. Let us love Star Wars with you. Let us love Star Wars with everyone. We want to celebrate. This is called Star Wars Celebration.
Well,
let's celebrate with you.
I'll say this. If it is like it's rumored to be, because rumors out of Celebration is that next year it's going to be announced for Orlando, Pat will definitely be there because his girlfriend will make him be there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a relatively
relatively true statement.
That's a relatively that's somewhat factual.
Well, I mean, in Orlando is just easier for us Midwestern folk.
Yes,
we can drive, or flying is cheaper.
Yeah, I'm East Coast, so that's easy for me as well.
There you go. Anyway, I think that was a great way to end it. Like it's Star Wars Celebration, let us all celebrate together, right? Yes. And I mean, as much as we kind of ended it on, you know, a sour note,
not sour. It was more so a plea than actually being
sour. Sure. But I mean, I had a great time this year's Celebration. I know we got one more day. I'm really excited for Bad Batch stuff. I know that that's like kind of an afterthought out of all of the madness that has been these last 2 days. But I love Bad Batch a lot, and I'm really excited for what we have coming for Bad Batch. Yes. So we'll catch everyone up with that next week, hopefully. But I had a really fun discussion today. Thank you, Pat, for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you.
It was a pleasure being here, guys.
We will definitely try to get you back on in the future. And Matt, hey, buddy, we talk every single day. But and shout out to Colin. Couldn't be here today. He's been very, very busy. He was in the chat. Shout out to Pardis. Shout out to Jeremy.
Hi, Pardis.
Shout out to Cam.
Hi, Jeremy.
Everyone in the chat. We appreciate you.
Oh, what's up, Joe?
Again, as I said at the beginning, if you did not catch our live stream of the Obi-Wan spoiler discussion, make sure you check that out. Make sure you like that video and like this video and subscribe to the channel. All that fun stuff. And we will see you next week. May the Force be with you always.